So what happened was, oh, by the way, shalom, Shabbat shalom. What happened was I kept getting this nagging feeling that I should read the book of Enoch. And I had printed it out years ago, and it was sitting in this huge pile of paper, literally huge pile of papers. And so I went and dug it out, and I had the 2009 version, and I just started reading it. And then Dad and I, we were driving, and I read it to him, and all of a sudden it was like, okay, this is really interesting. This is amazing. So started to look into it a little more, found this newer version, which was updated in 2012 on the internet. And then as I looked into different things and started listening to Tom Horn and looking up things, there were several people between 1854 and 1906 that were going through the book of Enoch, writing books about Enoch, discovering things about it. And then, as we know, in the 1950s, the book of Enoch was found with the Dead Sea Scrolls in the Dead Sea caves. And so it's very interesting because people are saying, okay, if this is with the Dead Sea Scrolls, this is a document that was felt to be very, very important. That's why it was hidden there. So there's so much about it as you start looking into it. Also, Tom Horn has reproduced a book that was written by a man that they said has an amazing outlook on the book of Enoch, and so he's done some stuff on that as well. Now, as we go through, there's a lot of connections that go back to the verses in the Bible. In Ethiopia, the Ethiopian Bible has canonized Enoch. It's always been a part of their Bible. It never was separate. And that is where the one copy was found in like around 1854 by someone. They had gone and saw this and then took a copy, and it started to spread from there. So for the Ethiopians, this Enoch is in their Bible. Wouldn't even think that it wouldn't be. So we want to go through it today, and it's very, very interesting because Enoch, you guys will notice, I don't have an exact copy, you do, but I gave you a glossary, and I did a glossary that fits on 2 pages and made it as small as possible. That might not be great for some people, but when you go through and you start wanting to put the English words in, when you have 4 pages of glossary to try to go through, it can be a little annoying. Also, I added some additional words in there. So, I have extra notes that are sitting at home, probably on my printer. But I may be asking you some of those definitions. So we'll see how that goes. And it is really interesting as I'm going through my life and now working with the Youth Society and the youth there, as issues and things are coming up and the young people are having to deal with all kinds of people treating them wrongly. We now have younger people coming in and new people coming in, and you see the anger and the sadness, and you realize that when God teaches us His way, you know, the book of the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, when He teaches us, and we have those holy days and the Sabbath, we have a wisdom and an understanding that can help others. Oh, thank you. There is a wisdom and an understanding to help others. So the more and more we learn God's way, we can see actually, you know, because a lot of times, well, let's start with Halloween. You know, Jasmine goes to work and they tell her, at Boston Pizza, when you work on Halloween day or whatever day it is, you have to dress up. It's mandatory. So, of course, now you got to phone the boss, and the boss has to phone the boss, and then the boss has to phone the franchisee to find out if you're allowed to go to work not dressed up, right? So, and of course, when you don't dress up, everybody calls you a party pooper, right? Lame. And lame, yeah. So your whole, as you go through school or even work, and as you get older, it doesn't get less. You know, the peer pressure doesn't get less. I don't know about you, Judy, in work, but I went to the nursing home, and every single person, not quite, but almost every single person was dressed up. And it's so when you're surrounded with it, yeah, you're the lame person, you're the party pooper, and so they just think you're weird, and you think, man, you know, like it puts a pressure on you. But I think that once we go through Enoch today, yeah, don't worry about it. But there is a pressure there, and so we need to know who we are and what God says, and why do we keep the Torah. So you'll notice the glossary, and then after the glossary, there is a quote. If I have it correct. Nope, it was before that, was it? Sorry, your copy is different than mine. Okay, there's the glossary.
We have the descendants of Adam.
The descendants of Adam. Okay, that page on the descendants of Adam, these are some scriptures in the Bible that when you go on Bible Gateway and look up Enoch, just Enoch, no other reference to him in any other way. These are the scriptures that come up. So the first one, of course, is in Genesis. And instead of putting the whole scripture in, I just put in all the descendants. So that you would see where Enoch shows up and the timeline in which he is, and that the book of Enoch is written. So of course it starts with Adam, and he became a father of Seth at 130, and he lives to be 930. Okay, so that's how that works. And then Seth has Enoch, and he lives to be 912. And you can kind of see how long they live as well with the numbers. And then it goes all the way down to where Jared has Enoch, and Enoch has Methuselah, who we know lives to be 969. And then eventually it goes down to where Lamech has Noah. And so the book of Enoch does tell us a lot about Noah. In 1 Chronicles it also mentions Enoch, and in Hebrews 11, in the triumphs of faith. In verse 5 it says, by faith Enoch was taken up so that he would not see death, and he was not found because God took him up. So we see Enoch there, and then also in Jude 1 he shows up. Now on the next page, out of Enoch 103 and Enoch 108, it says, I know a mystery. I have read the sky tablets. That word is sky tablets. I have seen the sacred books. I found written therein an inscription about the ones for whom all goodness, joy, and admiration is prepared, written down from the spirits of those who died in obedience. Manifold goodwill will be given to you in exchange for your work. Your fate is abundantly better than that of a living soul. So those who die for the word too, their fate is abundantly better than that of a living soul. In a blazing light I will bring forth those who love my sacred name. I will seat them upon sky thrones. There will they dazzle timelessly, for Yahweh judged them obedient. And obedient is a very key word, because Enoch was an obedient follower. He was obedient. And that obedience brings him wisdom, and we will see that. Okay? So that's those two. Then you'll have the table of contents. We've only gone up to, we haven't even done the first book in here. This is just the first little bit. I didn't know how far we would get today. So I wanted to just have this as an introduction today on the book of Enoch. Okay. So, on the first Enoch 1, verse 1, it says, the fate of, and that word is the lawless, the Torahless, the Torah sinner, versus the righteous ones. This is, you'll have 9 at the bottom of your page. So, this is the fate of the lawless, the Torah sinner, the righteous ones. And that's why it's so interesting at this time. And what another person mentioned was, here we are just rediscovering the book of Enoch in a time when this book, Enoch, was written, they feel, is the first words that were ever written. And the first words ever written thousands of years ago were written about the end times, right? And they said, is that why we are discovering all of this now? God reveals to us what we need to know. Sorry.
First of all, that his book was not the first written book.
Okay.
okay, is the first written one that declares the word of God in it.
Okay. Okay.
Not the first written book.
Okay. So, right, there was other written books, but not by those who loved God or obeyed God. This is the first written book about from God and the wisdom of God. So in verse 1, these are the words of Enoch's blessing, by which he blessed the elect and the righteous ones, those living in the day of trouble, when all corrupted and immoral are to be removed. He took up his plea, his petition, and said, Enoch, a righteous one, whose eyes were open to Elohim, saw the vision of the Holy One in the sky. The supernatural messenger, that word M-A-L-A-C-H-I-M is messenger, you're going to see it a lot, showed it all to me. I heard them and I understood them all, but what I saw is not for this time. It is for a tribe in a remote age to come. So that is the opening of the book. And when God says he knows the beginning from the end, it's so neat how this has happened. It's a miracle. It's amazing. I spoke to the elect. I took up my plea, my petition about them with these words. And El Shaddai, the strong one, the overpower, the almighty one, he is holy. All come out of his dwelling. The timeless Elohim, who is strong, mighty, the Most High. His camp in the strength, from his camp in the strength of his might, from the sky. And this word here, S-H-A-M-A-Y-A, is sky of skies, or sky, or dimension of time and space. So it has a full, I put the word sky in, but there's also a dimension of time and space. So, from his camp in the strength of his might, from the sky of skies, he will strike everyone with fear. Even the watchers will quake. And we will find out, there is a definition here of the watchers. All over the world, great horror and trembling will seize them all, for the high mountains will be shaken down, and the high hills will be made low. Such will melt like wax before the flame. The land will be torn in half, and all upon it perish, for the verdict will be against them all. And we know that when you look up melt like wax in the Bible, there are scriptures in the Word that say the mountains will melt like wax. And it gives more information on this. Yet he will make shalom with the righteous ones. So even when the land is being torn in half, even when the high hills are made low, he says, yet he will make shalom for the righteous ones. His love and his protection is there no matter what. And he will protect the elect. Mercy, favor, loving kindness. This is the word C-H-E-S-E-D-A-H. Mercy, favor, and loving kindness will be upon them, since they will all belong to El, or the Most High. They will prosper so to bless others. And I really like that. We are to prosper to bless others. We're not to be in a situation where we want God to give us things to prove his love. Have you ever been around children who do all kinds of things to demand? They'll do all kinds of nasty things to demand, prove to me that you love me.
Yes, children.
Yeah, children. There's adults, isn't there? Yeah.
Every adult is grown up.
Yeah, not every adult is growing up, that's right. Not everyone over the age of 21, right, is growing up. So they want, and so we are not to throw a temper tantrum when we decide that God hasn't done what we think he should do, because he blesses us and prospers us, so we bless others. If we're not prepared to bless others, that's why he gives that to you. He doesn't want a spoiled child. A lot of people say, well, oh, that child is spoiled because all they do is cater to that child. Well, you don't want your Father in heaven doing that. So they will prosper, so to bless others. And that's to prosper in our soul, to get rid of pain, unforgiveness, bitterness, change within us, how we react to people and what we do. And that was really interesting conversation that we had with the Youth Society this week. We have a meal where the youth come in and they sit down and it's like a family meal. But they get to learn how to cook, how to buy food. They get to do all kinds of things, but they want to teach them actually how to love and respect each other. Nobody eats before everyone's there. Not even Shanna and Dan, who are the adults, who really kind of act like the mom and the dad. And so Shanna was getting very upset because she likes to control people. And she's been very controlled. So she was a little upset with them because they didn't want to come in and sit down. And as soon as she wanted them to, she kept saying love and respect. But some of them are very sensitive to control, and they know when control is there. And it was really interesting because some of them were like, oh yeah? They even said, we'll see about this. Like, I just won't show up, or, whatever. Well, then you won't get a good meal, I guess, So sad. So anyway, she wanted them all to sit down because a lot of the youth that come don't sit down for a meal. They don't even know what that is. Like, their family does that maybe at Christmas, if Grandma cooks, So anyway, as it turned out, the next week, she says, you must sign in at 5 o'clock so that I know that I can prepare a plate for you, because I'm not going to throw food in the garbage. I need to know. It's just like when you don't come home for a meal, you phone and you say, hey, I won't be home for the meal. Oh, okay. Well, then that's fine, as long as we know. Or I'm going to be late because I have schoolwork or, whatever. And there was definitely some kickback. But what happened the next week was little Elijah comes in. It's 5 o'clock. He signs his name. He checks off the meal and he goes, yeah, I got a plate. I showed love and respect. So, you lose some, you win some, right? But it was so interesting that, they got it. So we talked about this. And I said to them, because of what we have learned here too, when they come in dark, and some of them come in so dark. One young man came in and said, I need to laugh. He literally went up to her and said, I need to laugh. And so she's like, okay, he needs to laugh, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. And anyway, they got him to laugh, and by the end of the night, he had relaxed. And what have we learned here? That's what we've learned here, right? But we learned it because we are doing what God wants us to do. We're obedient to the Word of God, so we're learning these things so we can help out and reach out to others, right? And that's why we have that shalom in midst of trouble. And we just found out we have a young man who has he's 13, and he was at drama, and they were asked, okay, go around and say who your hero is. Because Katie's getting them prepared for an award that we want them to nominate their heroes. And this young man said, I don't have a hero, and I've never had a hero. Then we find out that Shanna worked with him at school, and when he goes into anger rage, you clear the room of everyone. Going to be an interesting challenge. It's going to be interesting. So anyway, because he will hurt anyone when, like, the demons just must take him over. So that's something we need to work on. But it says that they will prosper, so to bless others. He will help them all. Light will appear to them, and he will make shalom with them. But look, behold. And we had a teaching on the word behold, right? He comes with 10,000s of his set-apart ones, his holy ones, his saints, to execute justice for all, to convict and destroy the Torah sinners for crimes. They're literally considered criminals, committed to rebellion, including all the hard sayings they have spoken against him. And at that point, the reference is to Jude 15. So if you want, like, it's at the bottom, but that's a reference to Jude 15. Okay, yes?
What does The chapter before that, or the verse, but 9 henna. What's that mean?
Okay, the 9 is just the verb, like the verse, the number. Don't
Oh,
worry about the
gotcha.
numbers. And the henna is behold. It's look or behold.
I guess I missed it. Thank you.
Yeah, because when you fill that in, you can just kind of read it, but it's nice to have the Hebrew words there because you can always look up more and learn more, especially if you go on the ancient Hebrew site, because you'll get more in depth on there. Okay, in 1 Enoch 2 it says, observe everything that takes place in the sky. And this part is really interesting because God uses His creation to teach us, right? The creation. And this is what He says. And this is why it's important for us to get out in creation when we live in a city or a town or you're busy. I mean, I like it that we can drive a little bit. Not that Devon's getting a lot of farmland in between us and the city now, because they are just sweeping it with industrial like you would not believe. But it's nice to actually see a combine in the field once in a while. So, observe everything that takes place in the sky, how the planets do not change their orbits, and the light bearers in the sky, how they all rise and set in order, each in its season. And look up season in the Bible. God says there's a season for everything. Lots of scriptures to go with the word season. And do not contravene against their appointed order. Look to the land, heed the things that take place upon it from start to finish. See how steadfast they are. Steadfast. This is what he's looking at. How none of their ways on the earth vary. So God is looking to us to be steadfast. It was interesting because I was talking to Elise today and she was saying, you know, a lot of the women who make a lot of money are in multi-level marketing businesses. That makes 6 figures. And I said, oh yeah, like I knew lots of them, right, that made that kind of money, and in multi-marketing businesses. And she said, oh yeah, and I said, yeah, but those ones that make that money are consistent. Oh, she said that word.
Yes.
Because it takes consistency, it takes steadfastness for us to do this, and that's what he says. See how steadfast they are, how none of their ways on the earth vary. So when people know us and they see us, you know, like Shelby was just saying, people think I'm intimidating, but you know, when you're steadfast in bold in what is right and true, you don't vary. People know they can come to you and they'll always get the same answer for the same thing, and that brings them peace, that gives them borders, and it shows a... Did you ever know a steady person in your life? There was a young man who was in the Worldwide Church of God, and he was just one of those steady people. I mean, whether it was good in the way he was walking, I'm not saying that, but if I met him today, I probably could tell you when he gets up, what he eats, everything. He was just a steady person, and someone said to me once, we need some steady people in the world. We need some of that balance. We can't have everybody that's going, woohoo, I'm off to Paris today, and I'm somewhere else tomorrow, right? So, see how steadfast they are, how none of their ways on the earth vary. Take in all the works of the strong one, the Most High. Observe summer and winter, how the whole land is filled with water, how the rain lies upon it, clouds and dew. Observe how the winter all the trees seem as though dead, yet wither and shed all their leaves, except 14 trees that do not lose their foliage, but retain the old for 2 to 3 years until new comes. Again, observe the days of summer, how the sun is above the land, yet over against it. You seek shade and shelter because the sun's heat, and the land also burns with growing heat, so you cannot walk on sod or rock because of its heat. Well, when we started talking about 2 more months, and Hugh said the sun is, you know, it's going to get longer days. I like this. I'm over like, woohoo, summer. Walk on the rocks and it's too hot. That's okay. See how the trees cover themselves with green leaves and fruit. Why do you not pay attention? So we're to pay attention to what's been said in order what we're to do. And my mom's cousins and my grandmother, they really looked at nature. I have books of leaves from Ontario and all kinds of things, and they, my mom's cousin knew all the different birds and all the whistles of the birds, and he would imitate them all. He was just so fun. Plus he had this great big mustache that came out to like here, and he was so fun, but they knew about nature. They looked at rock formations, and they knew about God. They saw God in creation. So, why do you not pay attention? Know about all his works. Recognize how the one who always lives has made all things so. All his works continue in the same way from year to year and age to age, is what that word means there. Mind all the assignments they complete for him. Mind all the assignments they complete for him. Those are assignments. Their missions never change, but remain just how the Mighty One has ordained. And so it is done. See how the waters and rivers flow to their finish and never vary from his, and that word means commandments and precepts. Mitzvot, commandments and precepts. As for you, you have neither dedicated yourselves nor fulfilled Yahweh's commandments and precepts. Instead, you have turned away proudly, saying harsh words against his greatness with your impure lips. How many people here with Halloween or Christmas, well, let's say with Halloween, oh, they just dress up. They don't say that they're, worshiping the dead and death. All the stuff that's out there and the stuff in the stores. I don't know why you would celebrate people's limbs being everywhere. It just doesn't make sense. But anyway, but that's what it says. Proudly saying harsh words against his greatness with your impure lips. Oh, it doesn't matter. God doesn't care what day I celebrate. That's impure lips. Oh, you hard-hearted ones. You will find no shalom. For this you will regret all your days to the utmost. The years of your lives will quickly pass away. The times of your ruination will be multiplied by constant disgust. No mercy, favor, loving kindness, faithfulness, that's what that CHESED means, will you find. In those days your acts will ensure that your names are abominable to the righteous ones for all time. By your own names you will be cursed by all who curse. All lawless Torah sinners will curse by you, for you will be a curse. Yet all the rest will rejoice. There will be every mercy, favor, loving faithfulness, and shalom and leniency, even forgiveness of disobedience. There will be rescue available to them and plenty of light. We have plenty of light. It is there for us. Plenty of light to know what we are doing and where we are to go. And there's plenty of favor and loving kindness for even acts of that we are wrong in, of disobedience when we repent. But all of you lawless, there will be no rescue. A curse will remain on you all. Yet the elect will be light, joy, and shalom. Yes, because when you have the light, the joy, and the shalom, you will attract people. You'll be like a magnet. People want what you have. Those who choose not to have what you have, they'll just choose not to have what you have. I mean, what are you going to do? That's a choice. But you, the elect, will inherit the land. The highest wisdom will be conferred on them. That wisdom comes through the keeping of the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. They will all live well and never commit a crime again by disobedience or pride. So, pride, as we know, is a big stumbling block. And it shows us right here that it's pride. That will be one of our things that we need to watch. And that we have plenty of light to figure out where there's pride in our life. For all those with wisdom will be humble. They'll be teachable. They will not go astray again, nor will they commit lawlessness all their days, nor will they die by divine anger or wrath. We see that anger and wrath is the way people die when they don't have wisdom, when they don't have when they have the disobedience. Become angry. One of the boys, they had a drama production for the Lions' 65th anniversary, and none of the people would listen to them. And so the guy came and he said, "We saw that you guys did this drama production, but we couldn't hear you. Nobody could understand what your drama was doing." And the children, the youth, were so hurt. So I went in and saw them this week and I said, "Well, tell me about it." They said, "We were doing our drama production. It was only 15 minutes long. They had made it themselves. They had learnt the history of Devon. They had learnt the history of the Lions Club. And they wanted to thank the Lions for everything that they had done in the town." And no one would sit down and be quiet. Not even the MLA or the mayor of our town. And the youth knew who they were. So I sat there and I said, "Tell me all about it." So they sat there and they told us. And I said, "How did it make you feel?" And this one young man said, "I was angry. It made me angry." So we went through everything. And I said to them, "Well, you felt invisible, didn't you? Like, to try and get some of those root words, like for them." "Oh, yeah." And I said, "And worthless." And they said, "Yeah, it was like it didn't matter to them." And I said, "No, and you gave such passion and you wanted to thank them and you wanted to bless them, but they didn't want to bless you." And I said, "Remember Jen last week when she was in her play, she was the mom and she was yelling at her daughter." And I said, no. In the 1950s, they would respect each other a little more than that. You need to change that. I said, they didn't respect you and they knew they weren't respected for what they had done. So I told them, you know, we won't be allowing just anyone to ask us for you to perform. Your time, your studying at school, even your downtime is important, and we're going to respect that. And so we won't be saying yes to everybody who thinks, the young people, because we get offers and we get told by town and different people, "Oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you should be doing this, you should be doing that." They're not going to go out and get disrespected all the time either, right? So that's part of our job as well. But we went through it all, and then I said to them, "Who do you do that to you in your life? Do you have little cousins or little brothers and sisters?" And two of the girls went, I said, "You make them feel invisible, don't you? You make them feel worthless." And they're like, I do that. So they got to really talk about that. But this boy, I said to him, "Yeah, because when you have pain, you get angry. And that's where that anger comes from, and this is where your anger can go." Right? So we got to talk about that. Then the Lions Club, they came, and I'm not going to tell the youth this, but they said, "It was your equipment, but they're going to give us money." Yeah! But you know what? I'd rather they love the youth, because it doesn't matter how much money they give us if the youth don't know how to lay down that pain, right? So I encourage them not to take it with them to the next people, because I said there's people that want what you have, they need you, and we need to keep going, right? Because money can't fix that. And the adults thought it was our equipment. It wasn't our equipment. But thank you for the new equipment, because our list is really long. So I have two smiling people on one side, and they're making their list. But it's not going to fix that. And I would rather that the youth were loved and respected. The rest we can get, right? Yeah. But anyway, they didn't see, there's too much pride, right, in the adults to even sit down. Their liquor was more important. Their people-pleasing was more important. So we thank Jesus for blessing the youth with the gift of forgiveness. So it says, they will complete the full number of their lives and days. We're on page 11 at the top. Yea, they will increase in shalom, while their joyful years will be multiplied toward continuous happiness and shalom all their days. Well, continuous happiness happiness upon happiness gets pretty happy. And Enoch was obedient, and he had that obedience, and he had happiness, and he went. You want to travel? Enoch had a good time traveling.
Sky trip.
He was called the Sky Trooper. And he went places. Paris was nothing. Who'd want to go there? Now the next is the fall of the supernatural messengers. Because we look at this and you say, well, if God has all this promised, he started with Adam. Adam taught it to Seth. Seth taught it, all the way down. What is it that happened that they wouldn't want all these blessings? Obviously, Enoch figured it out. He had been taught, and he was obedient. What went wrong? So in Enoch 6, it says, "So it happened, when the children of earth multiplied, beautiful and wholesome daughters were born. So the supernatural messengers, these children of the sky, saw them and lusted for them. They said to one another, 'Come on, let us choose wives from the children of humankind and spawn our own children.'" And this next word is rebellion, or Azazel, which would be Satan, their chief, said to them, "I am afraid you will not all agree to do this." Oh, gee, I wonder why. "And will have to pay the penalty." Oh, and that I will have to pay the penalty for a great Torah sinner alone. He knew exactly what he was doing. They all answered him, saying, "We will all swear an oath, binding ourselves by vows not to abandon our plan. We will fulfill it." There's lots of pride here. So together they swore, binding themselves by vows. We break off false vows and wrong vows. There's some big, heavy vows here that are not good. There were 200 in all, and these are the 200 that are called the Watchers. They descended into Ardos, the summit of Mount Armin, in Yared's lifetime. They called it Mount Armin because they had sworn and bound themselves by curses upon it. Okay. And there's some notes at the bottom too here. It says that Armin, or Mount Hermon, cursed mountain. A cavern at the bottom of Mount Hermon, known as the mouth of Baal, in Bananas, is believed to be the exit point of the supernatural messengers that fell upon the summit, then through the mountain. Interesting. Okay. These are the names of their chiefs, and it lists all the chiefs. And they're at the bottom, and there will be like Rebellion, the ruler of them all, okay, which is Satan. And then there's the arranger, the contender, and all the names, and you'll see all the names down there. And in Enoch 7, with these, all the other messengers took themselves wives, each choosing one, and they began to go into them and defile themselves with them. They taught them charms and spells and the cutting of roots to make them skillful with herbs. So the charms and the spells, I know we go shopping and it's like, oh, I want a charm bracelet, I read this. No, we don't. It's not quite the same, but it is the same when they use them to pray over. People use beads or different things, all kinds of stuff. And then it says at the top of 12, they became expectant. They bore great descendants of the Nephilim. And that is the ogres, the giants. Is it the Giborium?
Gibborim, yeah.
Gibborim?
Yeah.
Okay. Whose heights were 3,000 ells. And the 3,000 ells is...
6 M's.
No, I actually saw a number. It was like 450 feet. Some of them were ginormous.
I
right?
heard them say at one point they were like the cedars of Lebanon.
Like the cedars of Lebanon, yeah. I had 450 feet in here. They used up all the provisions. They would be a little hungry. There's a lot to operate there. Then the people of Elohim could no longer sustain them. These ogres turned and devoured them. They started to commit crimes against birds, beasts, reptiles, fish, and then to eat one another's bodies, even drinking the blood. And blood drinking is one of the most serious of the Torah breaches, and that note's at the bottom in Leviticus 17. So you can put Leviticus 17 up there. It was at this point that the earth laid in accusations against these lawless ones. Something had to be done. So then Satan, the rebellious one, taught them to make swords, knives, shields, and breastplates, and made known to them earth metals and the skill of working them for bracelets and other jewelry. Also the use of antimony, and it's an element, it's brittle, and it's silver-like crystalline metal. And that, it says in brackets, for coloring the eyelids. I guess they use that for coloring the eyelids. Along with all types of precious stones and the prescriptions for dyeing. As in the dyeing of cloth, the dyeing of things.
No, not living in.
Yeah, not living and dying. From these teachings there arose great disobedience. So out of all this teaching, you know, we get a lot of teaching and things that have been passed down through, obviously, the Watchers and Satan doing this. And we get all this teaching and all this book learning, but it actually brings disobedience to God because it's not in line with the Word of God, and definitely not in line with love. The people of Elohim were led astray. They committed immorality. They became corrupt in all their ways. Now it says, Amasaras, that means corruption gatherer, taught cursing and root cutting. And Armaris, the deceiver, curse lifting. And then it just keeps going down. They taught them the star signs and the star patterns and the cloud lore. All the names are at the bottom. Land signs, sun signs, star signs, moon pathways. As the people of Elohim perished, they cry out, and their cry went up to the sky. And 1 Enoch 9, this is the 4 supernatural messengers of Yahweh, which are the messengers who are timeless through the ages. And there was Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gavriel. They looked down from the sky and saw much blood being shed on the earth, and all the lawless wrought thereupon. They said to one another, this emptied world carried the voice of wailing up to the sky gates. Now, the set-apart ones, those devoted to keeping the Torah, the saints, the sky dwellers state their case to you, saying, bring our cause before El Elyon. And El Elyon is the strong, the mighty one, the Most High. And they said to Yahweh, who is through the ages, the ruler of rulers, the El of Elohim, the ruler of realms, ancient of days, the radiant holy throne is before all the families forever, from age to age. And your name is holy and wonderful and blessed to all, forever. You have formed all and have power over all. All are naked and open in your sight. You see all, and nothing can hide from you. Pride says that we can hide from God, that He won't see it, He won't care what we do. But nothing is hidden from Him. You see what Satan, Azazel, Satan, or rebellion, has done. And we see what rebellion has done in our life as well. And the one who taught all the rebellious and the disobedience in the world and revealed the ageless mysteries kept in the sky. All that the people of Elohim have been striving to learn. You see rebellion, the one you gave the authority to rule over his peers. They all have gone into the daughters of the beautiful land, all the daughters of the earth and the world, and have lain with them, defiling themselves and revealing all manner of corruption to them. These women have given birth to the descendants of the Nephilim, the ogres, the giants. The whole land has filled up with blood and disobedience on their account. And now look, behold, the beings of the dead are calling out, making their case to the sky gates. Their laments have ascended and cannot be stopped because of the lawless works wreaked upon the earth. But you, Elyon, know all events before they happen. Though you know them, you allow them, but you do not tell us what to do with them. Then spoke the Elyon, the Holy One, the Exalted One. Elyon sent Uriel to Lamech's son, saying, go to Noah and tell him in my name, Sir, hide yourself away. then reveal the approaching end to him. A deluge will come suddenly, and that's, you know, in Ethiopia they would call it the flood, right? They call it the deluge. Hide yourself away, then reveal the approaching end to him. A deluge will come suddenly upon the land, and the whole earth of it will be destroyed. The floods will obliterate everyone. Now teach Noah how he may escape, so that his genetic seed might be preserved for all future families of the world. And then Yahweh to the healer regarding rebellion. Then Yahweh spoke to the healer again, or Raphael. Bind Satan, Azel, hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness. Make a mouth in the desert of Delal. I looked up this desert, and there's actually a great big, it's in Egypt, and it's a great big, did I put it here? Oh, I did put it here too. It's in your glossary at the bottom. In Hebrew it means the cauldron of God, and it's a desert, and it's said to be at Napta Playa. It's a natural depression with an area about 5,000 square kilometers located west of the Nile River in what is today southern Egypt. And this place, this Napta Playa, is currently the oldest known archaeoastronomy site in the world, older than Stonehenge by at least 1,000 years. There's 5 known alignments of megaliths stretching out from a group of central megalithic structures at the settlement, and each megalith here is 6 feet by 9 feet high. So they have pictures of it. I did look that up. Anyway, and they say pitch him in, lay rough and jagged rocks on him, blanket him with darkness, and let him remain there forever. Cover his face so he cannot see the light. Then, on the great day of judgment, Satan will be cast into the fire, and that's Leviticus 16, verse 8. They make that reference. Then heal the lands that the fallen ones have corrupted. Proclaim the restoration of the earth, that they might heal the plague, so all the children of humankind might not perish by the hidden knowledge the watcher, the messengers, the Chaldee watchers, they call them, have revealed and taught their offspring. The entire world has been corrupted by the works taught by rebellion. Blame him for the criminal intent and behavior. Then Yahweh spoke to Gabriel, proceed again. Okay, so in that, at the top it says Yahweh to Gabriel, who's like a champion, El's champion, concerning the children of an evil god. Then Yahweh spoke to Gabriel, proceed against the illicit and the degenerate. Okay? Against the, okay, I don't have that word, the children of the watchers. From among the children of Elohim, and make them go away. Send them against each other so they may destroy one another in combat. They will not be granted length of days. No appeal to you will be granted them or to their fathers on their behalf. They hope to live timelessly, but each will live but 500 years. So it's interesting, even today, as we know, people are trying to live timelessly, but they don't want to do it as we know God's way. Their pride gets in their way. And a lot of products and things we've talked about too, right? When we broke off love potions and different things like that, people have all these products that they're trying to get that timelessness, but there's rebellion with God, so you can't have it. It won't work. So now, and then Yahweh speaks to Michael concerning rebellion and the unclean. He says, go bind rebellion and his ilk. And ilk is all your cronies, all your buddies, who have joined with women and thus defiled themselves in their uncleanness. When their children of humankind have slain each other, and they have seen the ruin of those they love, chain them tightly for 70 generations in the deepest storehouses of the earth, until the day of their judgment and conflagration, a verdict that will consume them forever, age to age. In those days they will be led to the fire pit, to the anguish and the confinement that will be timeless. Whoever else is condemned to their perdition will be bound together with them until the end of their family line. Then decimate the spiritual beings of all the corrupt sons of watchers, for they have victimized the children of the earth. Destroy all filthiness from the face of the earth. Let every evil work end, so the planting of obedience and truth may commence. So that obedience is definitely the more than a theme. It's what brings life.
It's the grace revolution.
It's not the grace revolution, no. No. Obedience and truth may commence. This will ultimately prove to be a blessing, for works of obedience and certainty will surely be planted in verity and joy and agelessness. So obedience, agelessness, forever. The rebound of those who kept the Torah on earth. Then all who are the Torah keepers will escape, the righteous, will continue. They will stay alive until they have brought forth children by the thousands. They will complete all their days, their youth and their old age in perfect shalom. Then will the whole land be turned over. It will be tilled by obedience. Obedience is what's going to till the land, to prepare it, right? For you till the land to prepare for the seed and for the new heavens and the new earth to be planted with trees and be filled with blessings. So obedience brings blessings. And that you don't always see sometimes when you're getting persecuted. And when it looks like everybody else is getting stuff at Christmas and you're not getting anything. But you know, you could have that any time of the year. Only all the pleasing trees will be planted, and vines also. The vineyards will yield an abundance of wine. Each measure of seed sown will yield 1,000, and each measure of olives will yield 10 presses of oil. And that is actually quoted in Hebrews. That passage is quoted in Hebrews. Cleanse the land from all oppression, for all lawlessness, from all crime and disobedience. Destroy all the uncleanliness wrought upon the earth. Then the children of humankind will become Torah keepers, righteous, and all tribes will offer me adoration and will praise me. Yes, all will worship me, since the land will be cleansed from all defilement of Torahless sinners, from all condemnation, from all torment. I will never again send such judgment upon it from beginning to beginning and age to age. In those days I will open the storage tanks of blessing in the sky to pour them down on the earth for the work and labor of the children of humankind. Truth and shalom will bound together throughout all the days of the world and throughout all the families of Adam. Amen. So it says the storage tanks of blessings. You know that waterfall song?
Yeah.
It doesn't quite,
Measure
it
up.
seems like a trickle. The storage tanks of blessings. Okay.
Blessings are liquid, they're in storage tanks.
What's that?
Blessings are liquid, they're in storage tanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I want to see what I want to do here.
And the word for warehouse.
You don't.
Oh, let's keep going. Okay, the dream, the vision, the intercession for the supernatural messengers. Enoch 1, Enoch 12. Before these things Enoch was hidden, and not one of the children of the earth knew where he lived, or what had become of him. For his concern was with the Chaldee watchers, and his days were with the ruler of ages. Enoch was blessing Yahweh's majesty, even the ruler of the ages. And, behold, the Chaldee watchers called me, Enoch the reporter. and said to me, Enoch, reporter of the skies, go, declare to the sky watchers who have abandoned the heights separating the timeless realm and have defiled themselves with women, doing as the children of humankind taking wives. You have caused great destruction on the earth, so you will have no shalom or forgiveness. Since they delight in their issue, they will witness their beloved executed and lament over their destruction. They will implore the Eternal One in his reign, but no mercy or favor nor shalom will they be granted. Enoch went forth and disclosed, Satan, you will have no shalom. A severe sentence has gone forth against you, to put you in chains. And when I read this, I thought about the children when they put all their pains and made this great big chain and put it here. It got really long. It was really big. They were finding anything they could to put on that chain. Let's make it longer. And you will not tolerate nor have any request granted to you because of the lawlessness you have taught, and because of all the devious, illegal, immoral behaviors you have displayed to the children of the earth. Then I went and I spoke to the Chaldee watchers all together. So Enoch wasn't fearful. You kind of get that idea. He was obedient, so he had the faith. He knew God loved him. And and it brought more obedience through that too. So he went to them, but they were all afraid. Fear and trembling seized the watchers. They begged me to draw up a petition for them so they might find forgiveness. They were looking for forgiveness. That I might read it in the presence of Yahweh of the heights. For from there on they could not speak with him nor lift up their eyes to the sky because of their shameful cries for which they have been condemned. You know, there's a lot of things that we do in our life where you feel shameful and you haven't repented. Do you look up to God? You don't all the time, right? Absolutely not. Like Jaylene today when Auntie Shelley said, am I intimidating? And Jaylene's looking, I said, yeah, you're looking everywhere but in her eyes. You know, we don't look up, right? Because the shame makes us not bold. Still, I wrote out their petition and the prayer about their saints and their individual deeds and their other requests. So Enoch goes ahead and he does stuff for them. He's going to take this request. It's very, very interesting. That they should have forgiveness and long life. And I went off and I sat down at the waters of Dan in the land of Dan, southwest of Arnon. I read their petition until I fell asleep. And behold, a dream came to me, and visions fell down upon me. And I saw a judgment, a revelation. And a voice bid me, tell the dream to the children of the skies to warn them. Just a sec here. Yeah. So the dream, it's a judgment, it's a revelation, it's a dream and a vision. Then I awoke and went to them, and they were all gathered together weeping in the land between Lebanon and Senseir, their faces covered. I recounted to them all the visions that I had seen in sleep, and I began to speak words of obedience and reprimand to the Chaldee watchers who left the sky dimensions, right? And in 1 Enoch 14, this is the book of the words of righteousness and of the reprimand of the eternal watchers in accordance with the command of the Holy Shaddai in that vision. I saw in my sleep that I will now tell with a tongue of flesh and my mouth's breath, that El Shaddai has given the tongue to the converse and the heart to understand. El Shaddai has given us the tongue to converse and the heart to understand. And that's one of the things it says, above all, get understanding. As he was created and given to humankind the power to recognize wisdom's words, so he has also created me and given me the power of rebuking the watchers of the sky children. So that's what he gives to mankind. He says that he has created and given to humankind the power to recognize wisdom's words. We have that power to get all wisdom from God.
It's
And-
one of the chief graces.
One of the chief graces, yeah. And also, so when we say words that I'm stupid or I'm dumb,
You're mocking God.
you are really mocking God.
Yes.
You do not want those words coming out of your mouth, because you have been given a heart to understand, and you have been given wisdom, the power to recognize wisdom's word. And the power of rebuking the watchers too, when you're in full obedience with God. I told them, I wrote out your petition, and in my vision it appeared that your petition would not be granted to you all the days of timelessness. That would not be a good thing to hear, would it? Timelessness. They would know about that, I think. And that judgment has finally been passed upon you. No, your petition will not be granted to you. He had to be, you think Esther going into the king? Enoch's telling the watchers, no, your petition's not going to be granted to you. And from now on, you will not ascend into the sky. The decree has gone forth that you be imprisoned in the ground, to bind you for all the world's days. You will see the destruction of your beloved offspring, and you will have no pleasure in them. But they will fall before you by the sword. Their petition on your behalf will not be granted, nor your own petition, even though you weep, pray, and recite all the words contained in my written decree. So they recite it. In other words, it'd be like an incantation. They recite it probably over and over and over. This is the vision shown to me. Clouds invited me, a mist summoned me, and the course of the stars and the lightning sped past and hastened me. And the Spirit made me fly, lifting me upward, bearing me into the sky. I ascended up until I neared a wall built of crystals and surrounded by fiery flames. It all began to terrify me. I went into the fiery flames and neared a large house built of crystals. The house walls and floor were like a mosaic of crystals. Its foundation was also crystal. Its ceiling was like the path of stars and lightning, and between them were fiery cherubim, and their skies were as waters. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its doorways blazed with fire. And that word fire also means brightness and light. I entered into that house. It was as hot as fire and as cold as ice. There were no delights of life inside. Fear covered me. I think this is really interesting that we talked about, we had the teaching about you may have fear, but God walks you through it. Fear doesn't mean you stop. It just means you call on God and keep walking, right? So fear covered me, trembling, got hold of me. As I quaked and trembled, I fell on my face. I saw another vision, and behold, there was a second house, greater than the other, and the door stood open before me, built entirely of flames of fire. So this is again a brightness and a light. In every respect, this house so excelled in splendor, magnificence, and size that I cannot describe to you its majesty and area. Its floor was of fire. Okay, again, brightness and light. Above it was lightning and the pathway of the stars. Its ceiling was flaming fire as well. I looked and I saw a high throne in there. Its appearance was as crystal and the wheels as the blazing sun. Then there was a vision of cherubim. From beneath the throne came streams of flaming fire so that I could not look there. The glowing personifying Yahweh of Elohim, the strong, the mighty one, sat there, and his clothing shone more brightly than the sun, and was whiter than any snow. None of the supernatural messengers could enter. They could not behold his face because of his magnificence and radiance. Neither could any flesh stand up to look at him. The flaming fire was around and about him, and a great fire stood before him. None could get near him. And though 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, yet he needed no counsel. He doesn't need us to tell him what to do.
He demand.
He demand. Yeah, when we start telling God what we need and what we think and stuff. Yeah, no. The saints near to him did not leave by night nor depart from him. Until then I had been face down trembling, and Yahweh called me with his own mouth. He said to me, "Come closer, Enoch, and hear my word." Then one of the holy ones came to me and awakened me. He made me arise, and we approached the door together, and I bowed my face. He answered and said to me, and I heard his voice, "Fear not, Enoch, you are the Torah keeper and reporter of obedience." Are we a reporter of obedience, or do we tell people they shouldn't be obedient in certain cases? "Approach and hear my voice, then go and say to the sky watchers, those who sent you, to intercede for them. You should intercede for people and not people for you. Why have you left the high," this is what he says, he wants the watchers, they were angels. "Why have you left the high, separated and timeless sky to lie with women, to defile yourselves with the daughters of Adam, to take yourselves wives? Why have you imitated the children of the earth and procreated ogres as sons? Since you were high, multidimensional, living the timeless life," they asked to be timeless, did they not? They already were timeless. You wanted the timeless life. Why have you defiled yourselves with the blood of women? Why have you intermingled with the blood and body, like the children of humankind? Why have you lusted after body and blood, as do those who die and vanish? They gave up a lot, didn't they? Astronomical. "I have given men wives so that they might infuse them and conceive children by them, so nothing might be lacking for them on earth. You were formerly spirits living the timeless life and immortal, unlike all the families of the world." You know, this just kind of reminds me, are we thankful for who we are and what we know? You know, when people grumble and complain that they have to go to church or they have to go to the holy days and all that stuff, like, it's like this here. What are you talking about? You have all this and you're grumbling and complaining about it. Why are you, like, this is what these guys were doing. You know, we have the power of and the ability of all wisdom and all knowledge and understanding, and yet we grumble and complain about things, right? And these guys, same thing. He says, "Your former spirits living the timeless life and immortal. Unlike all the families of the world, I have not appointed wives for you." So when God has appointed certain times and seasons and things to do things, just like the holy days, we can see there's power in the holy days now, because those are appointed times and seasons. There is power in those days more than ever. Do you understand that now? Like, because it's all put in place. He said, "This is the day I want you to do the trumpets. This is the day I want you to do this. This is the day I want you to do this." Just like he said, I want the sun here, the moon here, the stars here. They are anointed. You can't do them on another day. They are anointed. And so he says, "I have not appointed wives for you." He didn't do that. They didn't need it. "As for the sky spirits, in the sky is to be their dwelling." That's where you're supposed to be. But they went out of it, and then all destruction happens because of it. If the moon went off course, how much destruction would there be? Lots of destruction. And in the book of Enoch, it talks about that the sun and the moon are obedient to God. They're obedient to it. They stay where they're supposed to be doing what they're doing. "I have given," okay, so where am I? Sorry. "And now these monsters who are formed from spirits and flesh will be called evil spirits, ghosts, ghouls, demons, on the earth, and on the earth will be their abode. These evil spirits, ghosts, ghouls, demons, have proceeded from their bodies because they were born from humans and from watchers. The latter were to be separate, but now their beginnings and primal organs are mixed. Therefore, they will be demons on the earth, and evil spirits will they be called. As for the sky spirits, they will stay in the skies, but as for the land-bound spirits, those born on the earth, the land will be their abode. These monstrous spirits will afflict, oppress, havoc, attack, do battle, ruin, and work destruction upon the whole earth. Yes, there are demons, for all those who don't know. Though the evil spirits, ghosts, ghouls, and demons need no food, yet they still hunger and thirst mightily. And they offend. So there you go. When we get offended, you know what you're called. No, you're baptized, you're the righteous of God, you can repent. But you don't want to act like the demons and the ghouls and the ghosts and everything. Don't be calling each other ghosts when you get offended. These spirits will arise, or always rise up against the children of the earth, and especially against women, because they proceeded from them. And we can see lots of things in the world that they say, oh, there's a lot of oppression of women and things like that. Well, the demons are working there to do that thing. What time am I supposed to be done?
When you're done.
Another 5 minutes.
Okay.
6 if you have nicely.
A week Tuesday. How's
A
that?
week Tuesday. Okay. Ever since the days of the slaughter, destruction, the death of these ogres, their spirits left their beings and body to destroy with impunity, which is the spirits leave both soul and body. They will destroy until the age and day of the great judgment's conclusion, the judgment of the watchers and the unbelieving alike. Yes, they will be woefully consumed. And now, Yahweh continued, as for the watchers who sent you to intercede for them, those who had inhabited the sky, I say, you have been in the sky all right, but all the mysteries had not yet been revealed to you. They didn't even know everything. They thought they did. There's pride. There we got another pride situation. You only knew what was worthless. So they came down and told all the people what was worthless. And now we give out awards for all the worthlessness. Isn't that interesting? In the stiffness of your hearts, you have only made known to these women what is of no account. And through these mysteries, women and men work much evil on the earth. So say to them, you will never have shalom. So we'll stop there. You have a few more pages there, I think, or one?
No,
that was it.
Oh, none. Oh, we stopped right there. Okay. Sorry, I have more pages. Anyway, you have the front page. It is a PDF document that you can get off the internet and print out more pages, right? There's 108 pages altogether, so have fun.